So let's start to discuss about Shakespeare's unconventional sonnet, anti-traditional sonnet, sonnet number 130. It's an anti-Petrarchan sonnet. I repeat, it's an anti-Petrarchan sonnet. Now you may ask me why it's an anti-Petrarchan sonnet? Because the conventional sonnets that generally idealize the beauty of the beloved. But this sonnet, instead of idealizing the beauty of the beloved, this sonnet is representing the beloved the way she appears to be. This sonnet is a realistic presentation of the beauty of the beloved. This sonnet is not at all the representation of the exaggerated use of words and expressions. So what I mean to say, this sonnet is called an anti-Petrarchan one because this sonnet purely rejects. What does it reject? It rejects the exaggerated comparisons. I repeat, it rejects what? It rejects exaggerated comparisons. And at the same time it does what? This sonnet, it celebrates. On the one hand, it completely rejects or it completely declines the exaggerated comparisons. On the other hand, this sonnet celebrates the imperfect beauty. This sonnet celebrates the imperfect beauty. It celebrates the real beauty. Right. Actually, this sonnet, it establishes one main idea. And what is that idea? The idea is honest love over artificial praise. I repeat, honest love over artificial praise. The poet starts to say that his mistress's eyes are not as bright as the sun. The poet says that the redness of coral is more attractive than the redness of the color of the lips of his mistress. The poet says that if the color of snow is white, then the complexion of the beloved is not as white as the snow. The poet says that his beloved hair is not like golden wears. Instead, his beloved hair is like black wear. The poet says that the damask roses are pink. That means amalgamation of the two colors, red and white. But the poet says that he is not able to find out the presence of that pink color in the cheeks of his mistress. The poet says that perfume is more delightful than the breath of his mistress. Although the poet loves to listen to the words spoken by the mistress, but the poet confesses that the melody of music is greater than the voice of his beloved. Then the poet says that he has not seen a goddess, so he doesn't know how a goddess works. He has not seen a goddess, so he doesn't know how a goddess works. But the poet says that when his mistress walks on the ground, at that time the surface of the ground is trodden by the steps of his beloved. That means the steps of his beloved are not light. The steps of his beloved are not so delicate and soft the way the steps of the beloved are presented by the Petrarchan sonneteers or the Elizabethan writers. Rather, the poet says that when my mistress walks, her footsteps are capable of treading the ground, are capable of smashing the grasses grown on the surface of the earth. Despite the presence of all these imperfections. I repeat, despite the presence of all these imperfections, at the end of the poem, at the end of the poem, the poet says that his love is rare for his imperfect beloved. I repeat, the poet says at the concluding area that his love is rare for his imperfect beloved. His beloved may not be perfect, his beloved may have some imperfections, but despite the presence of all the imperfections, his love for his beloved is extremely genuine. And now he criticizes those writers. He says that there are many sonneteers, there are many contemporary writers who, in their poems, incorporate the false comparisons. For example, when a poet will compare the beloved's eyes, to the brightness of the sun, we cannot say that it's a right kind of comparison. We will say it's a false comparison. It is nothing but an exaggerated sort of comparison because the poet is emotional, and that is why the poet has started to say something that is not possible, something that is purely incredible. When people will start to say that a person's voice is like that of a music, believe me, you are not only praising the voice of somebody, instead you are underestimating music because the melody of music, the symphony of music, the attractiveness of music happens to be extremely greater than the voice of a person. If you compare somebody's red complexion or probably the red complexion on the cheeks to the redness of coral, believe me, you are underestimating the redness of the coral. Am I right or wrong? So we must say that never think that the poet probably criticizes his beloved. No, we don't want to think this poem in that way. The poet here not criticizing, the poet here is not criticizing his beloved. Rather, the poet actually praises his beloved, praises the sincerity, the truthfulness. And that is why this poem is an anti-Petrarchan sonnet. It's an unconventional sonnet. It's an unconventional sonnet. Why? Because of the realistic representation, because of the, what I say, anti-traditional representation. I told that the poem, it celebrates the real, the imperfect beauty. He criticizes his beloved, but actually he praises her. He here mocks the exaggerated love poetry. The poet here mocks the exaggerated love poetry frequently found during the time of the Elizabethan age. Here is a twist in the couplet of the poem, because the couplet of the poem that reverses the entire statement represented by the poet since the beginning, the couplet that fundamentally establishes the point that poet's love for his beloved is definitely genuine, it is honest, it is sincere. Undoubtedly, it is honest, it is sincere. Now, we will say that Shakespeare wrote 154 sonnets. So Shakespeare wrote how many sonnets? Shakespeare wrote 154 sonnets. And now we need to understand sonnet number 1 to 126. These sonnets are dedicated to his friend who is poetically called, fair youth. Sonnet 1 to 126 are dedicated to his friend Mr. WH or HW. He is poetically called, fair youth. Sonnet number 127 to sonnet number 152. I repeat, sonnet number 127 to sonnet number 152. These sonnets are dedicated to his beloved whose identity is not known. He is called Dark Lady. Sonnet number 127 to 152 are dedicated to Dark Lady. Now, my discussion starts on these last two sonnets. sonnet number 153 and sonnet number 154. Sonnet number 153 and sonnet number 154. These are the final two poems in Shakespeare's 154 sonnet sequence. So what I say? These are the final two poems in Shakespeare's 154 sonnet sequence. These two sonnets are generally treated as coda. I repeat, these two sonnets are finally or generally treated as coda, or it's like an appendix. These two sonnets are treated as coda or appendix to the Dark Lady sonnets. To the Dark Lady sonnets. So which are called Dark Lady sonnets? Sonnet 127 to 152. These are called Dark Lady sonnets. And these two sonnets, 153 and 154, these are called coda or appendix to the Dark Lady sonnets. However, we need to understand these two sonnets are called anacreontic in nature. I repeat, anacreontic in nature. These two sonnets are called anacreontic in nature. Yes or no? So these sonnets are called anacreontic. Why? Because these sonnets have light tone. I repeat, these sonnets have light tone. These sonnets focus on love. These sonnets focus on love. These sonnets focus on desire. These sonnets, use the God of love. These sonnets use the reference of the God of love, use the reference of the God of love. Let me be a bit precise, use the reference of the God of love, Cupid, right? So strictly speaking, these are not purely anacreontic lyrics. Here is hedonism. I repeat, in these two sonnets, 153 and 154, here is hedonism. What is hedonism? Hedonism refers to, the hedonistic type of philosophy, hedonistic type of principles, where people celebrate love, where people celebrate, wine, or where people celebrate, chivalry. So the celebration of love, the celebration of wine, or celebration of chivalry, in one word called, or in one word is known as hedonism. So you need to understand, instead of a real lover, instead of a real lover, here in these two sonnets, 153 and 154, we find the reference of the God of love, Cupid, the reference of the nymphs. Yes or no? So the passion, so the desire of the lover, that has been beautifully incorporated in these two sonnets, sonnet number 153 and sonnet number 154. Now let us know the rhyme scheme. Now let us know the rhyme scheme of Shakespearean sonnets. The rhyme scheme of Shakespearean sonnet is AB AB. This is the rhyme scheme of the first quatrain of the sonnet. AB AB. This is the rhyme scheme of the first quatrain of the sonnet. CD CD. This is the rhyme scheme of the second quatrain of the sonnet, boys and girls. And then comes what? EF EF. EF EF. This is the rhyme scheme of the third quatrain of the sonnet. And then comes, what? The most unique area of a Shakespearean sonnet, that is called the couplet, or let me be more precise, it's concluding couplet. Excuse me, it's concluding couplet. So these are three quatrains. What are the function of these three quatrains? Please pay your attention and try to write down the notes. So these are the three quadrants. These three quadrants actually develop ideas, right? These three quadrants do what? These three quadrants actually develop ideas. And the couplet, it gives the conclusion. I repeat, it gives the conclusion, right? So, if you can see line 1, it's A, line 2, B, line 3, A, line 4, B. That's how the rhyme scheme, continues. Then line 5 will be what? C. So A, B, A, B. It is the rhyme scheme of the first quadrant. Now, instead of continuing or instead of focusing or emphasizing on the introduction of the poem, I think the time has come to discuss about the theme of the poem, about the importance of the lines of the poem. You understand it's an unconventional sonnet. You understand it's an anti-Petrarchan sonnet. But this sonnet is a gem. This sonnet, it celebrates imperfection, and at the same time, this sonnet speaks about the real kind of love, the real type of love. Let's read the first line. My mistress's eyes are nothing like the sun. So, mistress, who is the mistress? Here, mistress refers to the dark lady. Her identity is still not known, or it's under mystery. People assume many names, but we will consider mistress as the dark lady. What is meant by the word mistress? Mistress means the beloved woman. Mistress means what? The beloved woman. We can call the word mistress means the lady love. Yes or no? So here mistress refers to the dark lady. The word mistress means the beloved woman. The word mistress means lady love, right? Nothing like. Nothing like. What does it mean? It means not at all similar. It means what? It means not at all similar. Like the sun. Now you need to understand, why is sun famous? We know that sun is the eternal symbol of, it is the permanent symbol. It is the eternal symbol. Symbol of what? Eternal symbol of what? Eternal symbol of brightness and beauty. Am I clear to you? The sun is the eternal symbol of brightness and beauty. So what is going to be the meaning of the line? What is going to be the meaning of the line? The meaning of the line is, my beloved's eyes are not bright or dazzling like the sun. So the beloved's eyes are not so bright and dazzling like what? Like the sun. This is line number 1. Clear? So my mistress's eyes, so sun is more bright than the eyes of my mistress. So you understand that here is a parody. Here is a mockery. The poet starts to mock the Elizabethan writers, because the Elizabethan writers have a tendency. What is the tendency? They frequently compare their mistress's eyes to the brightness of the sun. And the poet says that, no, it's not right. The sun is the eternal symbol of brightness and dazzling beauty. So if you go to incorporate such kind of comparison, that will be a part of your mistake. So you will commit a blunder if you compare the eyes of your mistress to the dazzling beauty to the surpassing beauty to the shining beauty of the sun. Let's start to read. Coral. Coral. So coral, it is generally used in jewelry. So what is coral? Coral is a red, deep red substance. It's a deep red substance. After all, we are going to write down the meaning of the word coral, and coral is red. That is why we have selected the red color to write down the meaning of this word. Okay, leave the fun and know the meaning of the line. Coral is far more red. Far more red. What does it mean? It means much brighter red. What I say? It means what? Much brighter red. So coral is definitely a red substance. Here we have written the meaning of the word coral here. What is coral? Look, coral is a hard red substance. It's built on the sea by small, creatures called polyps. So there are some creatures which are called polyps, and these creatures, they made a particular red hard substance somewhere on the sea or inside the sea, and these are called coral. So in this line, it is quite useless to know a lot about coral, but the main point is that you have to understand the redness of coral. What you need to understand? You need to understand the redness of coral. So what is coral? I already explained that coral is a deep red substance. But the poet says, actually the case is, the poet says that coral is far more red. That means coral is brighter, coral is extremely red, coral is brightly red than what? Than the red color of her lips. That means, try to understand. The poet is not saying that the lips of my beloved are not red. Yes, the poet is not saying that the lips of my beloved are not red. Rather, the poet says that the lips of my beloved are red, definitely. My mistress's eyes are bright. My mistress's eyes are bright. But it is not so bright like the sun. My mistress's lips are red. It doesn't mean that the color of the lips of my mistress are not red at all. He says that my mistress's lips are red. So definitely my mistress's lips are beautiful. My mistress's lips are attractive. But the poet completely dismisses the point by saying that okay, the lips are red, but the lips are not as red as the coral, because the Elizabethan sonneteers, they have a tendency of describing the color of the leaves, I mean their beloved's leaves, to the red color of the coral. Whenever there comes the situation, or whenever there comes the circumstances of describing the color of the leaves of their beloved, the Elizabethan sonneteers, they always take analogy. The Elizabethan sonneteers, they always give reference of the coral. Yes or no? So the poet says that definitely the color of the leaves of my mistress are red, but the color of my mistress are not as red as that of coral. Yes or no? It is something you have to understand. So what is going to be the meaning of line number 2? In line number 2, he says that her lips are less red. Her lips are less red than coral. So we can say alternatively coral is more red than her lips, right or wrong? So this is the meaning of line number 2. Either you write down the first point or you write down the second point. There is no requirement or there is no necessity of writing down these 2 points simultaneously. No. Let's go to line number 3. Initially, omit this word if. I will come to this word later. The color of snow, please add this particular part of expression at the beginning of line number 3. The color of snow, B means each, white. So read the line. The color of snow is white. I repeat, the color of snow is white. Now, we will discuss about the significance of line number 3. Snow. What is snow? We know that snow is the symbol of pure whiteness or pure white, right? Snow is the symbol of pure white. Now, what is the meaning of the first part of the line? The meaning of the first part of the line is that the color of snow is extremely white. I repeat, the meaning of the first part of the line is the color of snow is extremely white. And then the poet says, why then her breasts are done? We have to understand the meaning of the word done. The word done means dull brownish. Dull brownish. It also means dull gray color. People also say brownish gray or grayish brown. We have no problem with that also. You can write down that the word done means brownish gray or grayish brown. So one thing you need to understand, that the color of the breasts of his beloved are not as white as the snow. The color of the breasts of his beloved is not as white. The color of the breasts of his beloved is not as white as the snow. Instead, the poet says that her complexion is grayish brown or brownish gray. Yes or no? You understand? Nobody can be as white as snow. That's a fact. Snow, an object of the earth, is known for its surpassing whiteness. No human being is capable of getting that white color of the snow. We are not blessed to get that white color. This white color is only meant for the snow. Yes or no? So, what is the meaning of line number 3? So, the poet says that snow is perfectly white, but her skin is not white. Here, the word breast is used to indicate the complexion, the color of the skin. Yes or no? So, what is going to be the meaning of line number 3? The meaning of line number 3 is the color of snow is white. The color of snow is white. However, the skin of his beloved or of his mistress is not white, then it is what? It is dull or it is darkish. Yes or no? The grayish brown or brownish gray that is indicated by the word done is important. So people sometimes say, the critics sometimes say that she is called dark lady. She is called dark lady because of her dark complexion. Because of her dark complexion. But we know she is called dark lady because her identity is mysterious. Her mysterious identity is not revealed. Her mysterious identity is not revealed. Yes or no? It is something you have to understand. Her mysterious identity is not revealed. Let's go to the next line. Now, here comes the question of the description of the hair of the dark lady. Hairs be wears. Let's read the first part of the line. In the first part of the line, the poet says that the Elizabethan writers or the Petrarchan sonneteers, they have a tendency to compare a beloved's hair, to what? To golden weir. The comparison is drawn between the beloved's hair to golden weir. So it's a pure case of comparison. It's a pure case of comparison. Comparison of hair to thin metal wears. I repeat. It's a pure case of comparison. Comparison of hair to thin metal wears. As simple as that. So what does the poet here mean to say? The poet here means to say, if hair is compared to fine threads, I repeat, if hair is compared to fine threads, then her hair is like rough black wears. Her hair is like what? Rough black wears. Not soft, not golden. Now try to understand. So the poet again criticizes the contemporary Elizabethan writers after representing the point that the Elizabethan writers have a tendency of describing their beloved's hair to fine threads, to golden wears, or to very thin metal wears. But then the poet says that no, black wears instead of golden wears. I repeat. So when the poet is using this expression, black wears, actually the poet here means to say that instead of golden wears, I repeat, instead of golden wears, black wears grow on her head. So, the Petrarchan writers, the Elizabethan writers, you have a tendency of comparing your beloved's hair to fine golden threads, but I believe that my beloved's hair is not similar to the golden threads. Instead, My beloved's hair is like rough black wears, like rough black wears. This hair is not soft. This hair is not golden. Yes or no? Let's start to read the very next line. So that's how we completed the first quatrain of the poem. So in the first quatrain, we understand that the poet describes eyes. The next point is lips, breasts, and hair. Right. So eyes are not as bright as sun. Lips are not as red as coral. Right. Breasts are not as white as snow. Snow is more white. Hair is not as fine, as soft, like the golden wears. Rather, hair is like what? The rough black wears. The rough black wears. We completed the first quatrain of the sonnet. Let's start to read the second quatrain of the sonnet. The poet says, I have seen roses damasked. So the poet says what? He has already seen. He has already seen damasked roses. I repeat, damasked roses. The word damasked, the word damasked is used here to mean mixed or having blended colors. Having blended colors. Although there is a place which is called Damascus. I repeat, there is a place which is called Damascus. I request everybody to go to word meaning number 4. In this particular word meaning, we understand that these are the roses which are originally brought from Damascus. It's a city in Syria. It's a city in Syria. Syria is the name of a country, and it's a city in the city of Syria. In the country of Syria. I'm sorry. So, Damask or Damascene roses, these are the roses which are originally brought from Damascus. So, there is a type of a rose called damask rose, which is bright pink in color. And pink is the amalgamation of the two colors. And the two colors are red and white. Pink is the amalgamation of the two colors. And what are the two colors? Red and white. So this is bright pink in color. And it was originally brought from Damascus. So this is the word meaning of this particular phrase, roses damasked. You can take a screenshot and later you can write down. So let's go to the text of the poem. I have seen damasked roses. And then the poet describes the complexion. Then the poet describes the rosy hue of the damask roses. I here use a word hue. The word hue means color, right? So the poet says he had seen roses. He had seen damasked roses. He had seen damasked roses that are beautifully mixed. That are beautifully mixed, with red and white shades. So whenever you go to describe the beauty of damask roses, you must keep it in mind that the damask roses generally have these two shades. And what are the two shades? The red shades and the white shades. Please tell me, in damask roses, how many shades we come across? In damask roses, we come across two shades. And what are the two shades? The red shade and the white shade. You all understand that these two colors, red and white, when are mixed together, these two colors produce one color, and the name of the color is pink, right? So the poet had seen damask roses, and these damask roses are pink in color. Then the poet says, but no such roses see I. The line is an example of hyperbaton. You understand hyperbaton? It's a figure of speech in which the order of the words is inverted. The grammatical construction, the grammatical structure, where is not properly maintained. So you must read this line in that way. I see no such roses. Excuse me, what is the meaning of the line? The meaning of the line is that I see no such roses in her cheeks. Here cheeks stand for the face of my beloved. Yes or no? So you need to understand, I do not find out the presence of the rosy beauty in her cheeks. I do not find out the rosy beauty in her cheeks. So I have seen the damask roses. I know that the damask roses are famous for its rosy complexion. I know that the damask roses are famous for its rosy complexion. I know that the damask roses are exceptionally beautiful, are excellently beautiful. These roses have surpassing beauty. Yes or no? But then at the conclusion, so for the case of the description of damask roses concerned, there the poet says that I do not find out the presence of those roses in the cheeks of my mistress. So my mistress's cheeks are not as pink as damask roses. The damask roses are more pink than the pink color of the cheeks of my mistress. I'm telling again and again that you must not think that the eyes of the beloved are not bright. Yeah, the eyes of the beloved are bright, but not bright as the sun. If somebody says that the eyes are bright as the sun, that person is not the person is not at all praising. Instead, the person is giving vent to false comparison. When the poet says that my beloved's lips are not as red as coral, that doesn't mean that my beloved's lips are not red at all. Yes, my beloved's lips are red, but I am not giving vent to the false comparison. Yes or no? In the same way, when the poet says that the damask roses are the roses having the combination of these two colors, red and white, which are pink, yes or no? And then the poet says that I have not seen such roses in the cheeks of my beloved. In this line, the poet here implies that yes, my beloved's cheeks are beautiful, my beloved's cheeks are attractive, but the point is that I am going to tell you the truth. And what is the truth? What is the truth? Her cheeks are not as bright as that roses. Now the poet says that there is more delight. I request my brothers and sisters to read this line from the last part. I request everybody to read this line from the last part. How should we read this line? There is more delight. Excuse me. There is more delight. So there is more pleasure. I repeat, there is more delight means the word delight here means pleasure. Am I right or wrong? So there is more pleasure. So where is more pleasure? There is more pleasure in some perfume. So there is more pleasure in some perfume. Let's explain this line in this way. So some perfumes are, excuse me, there are some perfumes, the Arabian perfumes probably. So some perfumes are more pleasant. Say with me. Some perfumes are more pleasant. Some perfumes are more enjoyable. Am I right or wrong? So some perfumes are more pleasant. Some perfumes are more enjoyable. Let's go to the next line. So this is more, here is than. You know more than, when more than is used to indicate something greater or to underestimate something lesser. At that point of time, more than is used, right? So perfume is more delightful. Excuse me. Perfume is more delightful than the smell of the breath of my mistress. So the poet, gets the smell of the breath of the mistress. When the mistress breathes, the poet gets the smell of her breathing, right? But the poet confesses the fact. And what is the fact, confessed by the poet? The poet says that there is more delight. Where is more delight? There is more delight in perfume. So perfume is more sweet. Perfume is more enjoyable. Perfume has more pleasure than what? Than the breath that my mistress reeks. The word reeks, it means smells unpleasant. It means what? It means smells unpleasant. So the breath, comes out. The breath, comes out from my mistress is not at all sweet. It's not at all pleasant. So better to say that my beloved's breath has bad smell. So my beloved's breath has bad smell. We take food. Our food is digested. In the stomach, there is a digestive system. So during the time when we breathe, our breathing, our breath that cannot have a sweet smell. But there are some Elizabethan writers, for the sake of describing their beloved, with the help of many superficial and artificial terms, with the help of many exaggerated statements, with the help of many extraordinary phrases and expressions, they sometimes compare their beloved's breathing to the sweet smell of some perfume. But the poet completely dismisses the point. The poet here frankly says that it's purely untrue. The poet says that. What does the poet say? The poet says her breath is not sweet. Her breath is not sweet. It may even smell bad. It may even smell bad. It may even smell bad compared to compared to good perfumes, right or wrong? So if you take the smell of perfume and then if you go to take the smell of the breath of the beloved, you understand that perfume smells good. Let's go to the next line. So here again the poet criticizes those writers, those who, you know, incorporate or those who use false comparisons in their poems. The poet says, I enjoy hearing her speech. I enjoy hearing her speech. Right here, speak means speech. I love to hear her speech. I love to listen when my beloved says, I love to listen to her. There is no problem. There is no problem, although her voice is not musical, although her voice is not melodious, but it doesn't matter to me. I always love to listen to the words spoken by my beloved. So I love to hear her speech. Yet well I know, that means I know very well. I love to listen to her, but I know very well. So I know the truth. Here it means I know the truth. I love to listen to her, but I know very well, that means I know the truth. Which truth is known to me? Which truth is known to me? I know the truth that music hath, it's an archaic word. It's an obsolete word. The word in modern age means has. The word hath in modern age, it means has. So music has a far more pleasing sound. So music sounds more pleasant. Excuse me. Music sounds more pleasant than her voice. Music sounds more pleasant than her voice. I repeat. What is meant by the line? The line means that the speaker, I mean the poet, the speaker enjoys hearing her speeches. But the speaker knows the truth. But the speaker, knows the truth. And what is the truth? The truth is that music sounds more pleasant than her voice. Right. This is the meaning of the line. So the speaker enjoys hearing her speeches, but the speaker knows the truth. And what is the truth known to the speaker? The truth known to the speaker is that music sounds more pleasant than her voice. The mockery reaches to its top when the poet says that I grant, that means I admit, I sincerely confess a truth. My Lord said, I sincerely confess a truth. So I admit a truth, I confess a truth. What is the truth? In my lifetime, I never saw a goddess go. Here go means walk. So I admit, I have never ever seen a goddess walking on the ground. I admit, I have never ever seen a goddess walking on the ground. Actually, why does the poet say so? You understand that there are many poets who occasionally compare their beloved's manner of walking to the manner of walking of a goddess. And this is a wrong thing. The poet says that I have not seen a goddess. I have not seen the manner of walking of a goddess. So how could I say which manner does a goddess follow during the time when she walks? How could I say that? And that is why the poet very frankly says that I grant. Here grant means I admit. Here grant means I confess. What do I admit? What do I confess? I admit, I confess that I have never ever seen a goddess walking. I have never ever seen a goddess walking. The manner of walking of a goddess I have not seen. I have not seen. My mistress, that means my beloved, my mistress whose eyes are not as attractive as the sun, are not as bright as the sun, whose lips are not as red as the coral, whose voice is not musical. Yes or no? That mistress, his beloved, the dark lady, boys and girls. So my mistress, when she walks, so during the time when my beloved walks, she treads on the ground. That means the ground is trodden by the steps, the ground is trodden by the steps of my beloved. Actually, the problem is that the Elizabethan sonneteers very frequently they write when their beloveds walk on the ground, it seems that the ground is not trodden. It seems that the ground is not trodden by their steps. That means they walk with very soft steps. They walk with very delicate steps. But now the poet completely dismisses that point. And the poet not only dismisses the poet, but also the poet says with more emphasis that when my mistress walks, the ground is trodden by her footsteps, right? So the poet initially says that my beloved walks like a normal human being. When a normal human being walks, at that time the footsteps create a permanent mark or even a temporary mark. If not permanent, at least a mark on the ground. You can see a field full of green grasses. But that area where the elderly people or even the younger people where they do regular morning walks, you can see a straight line. You can see a straight line. Why? Because their footsteps have produced at least a mark there. Am I right or wrong? So the problem of the Elizabethan sonneteers is that for the sake of representing their beloved in an extraordinary way, they have spoken a lot. They love to tell many things. For example, what do they want to say? They want to say that look, my beloved walks, but the ground is not trodden. Yes or no? The ground is not trodden. It's an untrue thing. It's purely a falsified statement. So how we can explain these two lines? We can explain these two lines in this way. The speaker, write it down. The speaker admits that he has never seen a goddess walking. He has never seen a goddess walking on the surface of the earth. He has not seen. Those who compare probably they have seen. His beloved walks, walks, walks like a normal human being. His beloved walks like a normal human being, not like a divine figure. Not like a divine figure. The speaker admits that he has never seen a goddess walking on the surface of the earth. His beloved walks like a normal human being, not like a divine figure. Not like a divine figure. When his beloved walks, the ground, gets trodden. The ground, gets trodden. The ground, holds at least the marks of the footsteps. And that should happen when a human being walks. And the poet says that I have not seen the walking of a goddess. My brothers and sisters, we have come to the last two lines of this sonnet. The last two lines is the couplet. And I told you that from line 1 to line 12, the idea is developed. But the main statement, that comes at last. By heaven. What does this expression by heaven means? Here by heaven means truly. By heaven means honestly. By heaven means truly. By heaven means honestly. So by heaven, that means taking an oath in the name of God. Taking an oath in the name of God. I think my love is rare. That means it's exceptional. We are going to explain the meaning and the importance of the word rare. What is meant by the word rare? Here rare means precious. Here rare means special. Here rare means exceptional. Yes or no? So the poet says that, or the speaker says that, his love is very special. His love is very special and valuable. I repeat, his love is very special and valuable. His love is exceptional. His love is exceptional. So those who describe falsely, they are not the real lovers. Or even if they are the real lovers, the poet is also a real lover. Because the poet tells the truth. So the poet says, my love, it's rare, it's exceptional. It's rare, it's exceptional. As any sea. As any sea. Here any sea means any beloved. Here any sea means any beloved. Belied with. The word belied means falsely described. The word belied means falsely compared. I repeat what is meant by the word belied. Falsely described or falsely compared. Belied means falsely described or falsely compared. Now the device is doing, there are some glitches in the device, and that's why I'm not able to write properly the way I was writing or the way I used to write. There is a beat problem, please excuse me. But one thing you understand clearly, the poet says that taking an oath in the name of God, taking an oath in the name of God, I want to say that my love is rare. I want to say my love is exceptional. My love is pure. My love is, sincere. It's pure. It's sincere. It's true. So, my love is, please let me write the meaning of the last line. My love is just as true as any omen, My love is just as true as any woman who is falsely, who is falsely praised, who is falsely praised with exaggerated comparisons, with exaggerated comparisons. Yes or no? So there are many women who are falsely praised. There are many women who are falsely praised, and they were praised with exaggerated comparisons. Their lovers compared their eyes to the sun, lips to the redness of coral, color of skin to the whiteness of the snow, hair to the golden ears or any fine metallic thread, voice to the melody, breathing to the perfume, walking to the walking of a goddess. That's how they compared. But the poet says that I cannot compare my beloved in that way because my beloved is earthly. And he says that an earthly woman is full of imperfections. So my beloved is full of imperfections, but still I love her a lot because my love is honest, genuine, and sincere. Thank you.